It's recording by the horse.
It is now.
Yep, it's recorded.
That's been a long time, folks.
That's awesome. What's this?
An elderly but hardy cattleman from Texas once told, let me mute some people here. An elderly but hardy cattleman from Texas once told a young female neighbor that if she wanted to live a long life, the secret was to sprinkle a pinch of gunpowder on her oatmeal every morning. She did this religiously and lived to a ripe old age of 103. She left behind 14 grandchildren, 30 great-grandchildren, 21 great-great-grandchildren, and 5 great-great-great-grandchildren. She also left behind a 40-foot hole where the crematorium used to be. Did you? Yes? All right.
Welcome back, Bill.
Leah's just shaking her head. You didn't just say that. Today we're starting fresh. And we're going to go from the beginning. And so we'll start out as if you just got your iPad. Now I will be covering things for a lot of you that you've already had, but I'll add in little tips and tricks along the way. And I usually have a tip of the day. So if you're looking at your iPhone or iPad, you either have a home button on the bottom or you do not have a home button on the bottom. How many of you have a home button on the bottom? Just raise your hand, go, hey, I got a home button. And some of you may not. Now, in the newer versions of the iPad, they eliminated the home button and replaced it with basically a sweep up gesture. All right. So the first tip I'd like to cover with you today, and I'm going to share my screen. Can everybody see my screen? Somebody unmute
Yes.
and tell me yes or no.
Yes,
My iPad is on the right and my iPhone is on the left.
yes,
If you have a home, and we're going to talk about applications running. Whenever you start an application, like if I start reminders here on my iPad, and then I go back to the home screen, that application is still running in the background. If you have an iPhone, if you have a computer or a Mac, a PC or a Mac, you can, when you click the red X or the X, the application is stopped. In the iPhone and iPad, it's not. There's no X to click on, so the application is still running. If I go to my phone, the left item there, and I go to Notes, there's the Notes app, and I'm going to sweep up from the bottom to go back to the home screen. Okay, so far so good. So now I have an application running in the background. Now, if you haven't done this before, you have many applications running in the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start 3 or 4 or 5 applications in the background. Okay. So I've started all those on the iPhone. I'm going to do the same thing on the iPad. Okay, so now I've started all those applications. And you can, and the way in which you can tell you have those applications running depends on whether you have the home button or not. And here's where it gets a little tricky. In order to see those applications, for those of you who have a home button, you have to press the home button very quickly twice, tap, tap. And you have to hear the click. So I'm going to hit my home button twice on my iPad there. 1, 2. And there's the apps that are running. Again, if I push the home button, it comes back to the home screen. But if I tap it twice really quickly, tap, tap. Now that's the tough one to get. On the iPhones and iPads without a home button, and I'll show you with the little dot that's running around the screen, hopefully. See this little dot running around the screen? It's light gray down here. What I do is I put my finger on the edge of the iPhone, I press and I sweep up to the middle and stop. So I press it, go up to the, whoops, it's not going to work with the button here. I put my finger on the frame and I go up to the middle and stop. And then lift my finger off the screen. So that's kind of a slow motion. Okay. Again, I'll do it on the iPhone there. Put your finger on the frame and just slide it up the screen and stop in the middle and then lift your finger off. And here's the applications that are running on my iPhone. In both cases, to get rid of them, you put your finger on it and you sweep it up like so. Put your finger on it here, touch the screen and sweep it up. Whoops, let me get it down here. Okay, and now I'm stopping those apps from running. You do the same thing on the iPad. Put your finger right here and flick up. And you have to go straight up and you do it kind of slowly at first. Okay. Any questions on that? Yay, no?
No.
Yeah, Bill, we have one.
Go ahead.
Like I forget to do this. I like to try to do it once a week or so, but sometimes I don't. So I end up with like 40 of these things open. Is there any way you can get rid of all of them at once?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
The answer to your question is not that I know of.
Okay.
You just gotta, you can get rid of 2 at once if you're on your iPad.
Yeah.
Put 2 fingers on the screen and flick them up together.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
But good question. Okay. Everybody pick up your iPhone or iPad, at least hold one of them in your hand. Okay, I don't see people picking them up. Come on, you have to pick it up. Thank you. Thank you, Sally. Okay, you have in your hands more compute power than it took to launch our astronauts to the moon. I think everybody remembers Walter Cronkite and the day that we did the moon landing. And they showed you Johnson Space Center and all these terminals and these guys at Johnson Center working on their terminals. And all those terminals were hooked to a computer on the 2nd floor. I'm talking about that computer has less compute power than you're holding in your hands. The computer you have in your hands can do 2 billion, that's in B, that's 1,000 million instructions, 2,000 million instructions a second. We'll call them additions, for example. Okay, so that's the way our technology has changed over time. Now on that device, you have a power button. The power button is on the top, this edge of your iPad, and on the side of most of the iPhones. Okay. If you tap the power button once, go ahead. If you tap the power button once, it puts your device to sleep. And let's see what happens. Once, oops. Power button once, goes to sleep, again, and wake it up. Okay. So how do you power it down? For those of you who have a home button, and it's different, well, first of all, should you power it down occasionally? Right? Because when you push the button and it goes dark, that's just shutting off the screen, basically. So for example, on your phones, you can still get phone calls and it can still give you alerts and things like that. You should turn it off at least once a week so that you clean out the junk drawer. Okay? Everybody probably has a junk drawer, and you know how hard it is to find things in the junk drawer. But if you organize the junk drawer, you can find the needle and thread little package you had for travel in there somewhere. Okay. In order to turn the phone or iPad off, if you have a home button, you press and hold the power button. So I'd like everybody to do that on those that have the home button. When you press and hold it, sorry.
Bill, mine brings up Siri when I press it
You don't have a home button, dear.
on my iPad. I do.
Then it shouldn't bring up Siri on your iPad. And you get this screen to show up. It says slide to power off. If it has a home button in, it should do that.
Well, it has a home button and it only comes up, Siri pops up in the bottom.
You're
Here,
pressing the home button or the power button?
both.
No.
I'm pressing the little button that's on this,
Right, the power
The
button.
side button works for me. The side
thank
button.
you.
Yeah, if you have a phone that has your phone has a home button, Greg?
Yes.
If you have a home button, you press the power button.
Worked for me too.
Okay. And your screen should go dark, like mine has.
Yes.
And for the iPhones without a home button, you have to press the power button and the volume up button concurrently, and you get that showing up. The volume up and the power button at the same time. So you kind of grab your phone on both sides with a thumb and finger, and you press those two buttons at the same time. And then you can slide to power that off. Oop. Okay. So the question is, how do I get it back on again? You press the power button and hold it. You press the power button and hold it until the apple appears. And it may seem like an extraordinary amount of time, but the apple will appear on the screen and then you can release the power button. One of the purposes of this exercise is to get used to pushing the buttons, etc.
When I press the power button and the volume up button, it takes a screenshot.
You have to press them concurrently.
You must not hit them close enough.
Still taking a screenshot? You sure you're doing volume up and not volume down?
Hey, Bill,
Yes, sir.
on mine, iPhone 12 Pro, you can press either the power up, either the volume up, volume down, either one, along with the power button and turn it off,
Okay.
not just the volume up.
And Bill, you don't have a home button on that thing, do you? Bill Kelleher?
No, I do not. I got a 12.
And you're holding the volume up and power button concurrently.
I got a screenshot.
I know that's the way you get a screenshot. Try power down then. I mean, volume down. Anybody else have that issue?
One worked.
Pardon me?
Bill,
Yes, Sally.
Bill, I have a new SE and it has a button on the right-hand side that's an on and off button. So I don't need to do anything with the left side. They have a
No. Oh, Sally,
they have a brand new,
I know.
but it just turns it on and off.
No, it turns the screen on and off. It doesn't power it down.
Well, when I push and hold it, it says slide to power
Oh,
off,
it
and then I
does.
can-
Okay.
Oh, yeah, this is brand new.
So you
This is
don't,
the new SE.
and it has a home button.
Well, it has a little button, it has a button down at the bottom where you
That's-
can press it. Yeah,
I'm glad that came up, Sally, because I made a mistake. I
right
understood.
here.
Yep,
Yeah,
that
this
one.
one, I have that.
That's called the home button.
I know, I have
Okay.
that, but what I'm saying
If
is
you-
when I push the right-hand side, I get the slide and I can turn it completely off.
If you have a home button, that's the way you do it. If you
Okay.
don't have the home button, that's
Okay.
what we're trying to get to.
No, I understand. Okay,
Bill, have you been able to get yours to turn off yet?
Yes, with the power volume down, not the volume up.
Yay!
Oh,
Okay. And as I said, you should, as a matter of maintenance, you should do that once a week or so. You might do it at the same time you're deleting all the apps that are running.
No, could I ask, what does it do exactly? Or ballpark?
Okay, as the operating system works, it creates a lot of temporary files here and there,
Right.
and it keeps accumulating all those, thus making it a little more difficult for it to do the job. So if you reset it, it gets rid of all those temporary files and you start with a clean slate.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bill, that's also a good thing to do if your device quits acting normally.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Greg brings up a good point. And sometime through here, my device doesn't work the way it used to. Sometime you doing something and your device may not work the way it used to. that indicates that it's got a problem somewhere and you need to reset it. This is the way you reset it. You turn it completely off and then turn it back on again. And I would say 99.9% of the time, the problem I was having is gone away. So it's a great thing to be able to learn how to do it. You do it once a week, and the other thing is if there's an error in the way your device is working. I used to be able to do that. How come it's not doing it now? Reset it. Turn it off and then turn it back on again.
That's good advice for anything electronic.
Any electronic thing, you're right.
Yeah, it really is, because you can go through all kinds of emotions and upset and everything. That, oh, did you plug it in and unplug it? You try.
Very,
Yeah.
very good, Barbara. Thank you.
I think it works on humans too.
How does the reset occur? What button do we push? Anyway,
Bill,
yes.
Bill, I have a question. What is the best way to turn off the phone from ringing for a short time? Like if you're in a theater and you just want to turn your phone off from ringing for, while you're in the theater, which of those ways is the best way to do that?
Okay. If you look at your phone, and I'm running over my phone here with that little white dot. Up here in the corner, there's a little slider thing. And you slide it if you're looking at your device, or let's say your phone is laying on the table, that little indentation there is the mute button. I call it the church button. And you put your fingernail on it and pull it down. And your phone will say silent mode. So that quiets your phone. I call it, as I said, call it the church button. And you have to put your finger in. Now, if it's laying on the table, you pull it up toward the face, or you push it back down toward the back of the phone in order to operate it. And if it's down, you can look in there and you'll see a little red. You'll see red. If you pull it forward toward the face, it says silent mode is off.
Oh, thank you. I got it. Thank you.
Well, the best tip I ever learned was, now they call it focus, the do not disturb, and they give you all the choices
Yeah.
for, just for this meeting or for this, until I leave this location.
Yep. I didn't want to get
Because
into
I always forget to shut off the silent mode. And so my phone never rings.
Okay. I was going to say that for later, Diane,
Oh, okay.
but she has a point in that don't forget you turned it on. Because we tend to forget we turned it on, and therefore we don't hear any phone calls or messages or anything. How come my phone's been silent for 3 days? I've been trying to call you. Okay, so don't forget to turn it on.
Sometimes I accidentally turn that silent mode on, and I'll get a message from somebody that I'm texting that said that I have silenced notifications or something, and then they tell me and I remember to turn it back the other way.
I didn't know that happened, Greg. So yeah.
Occasionally I get it the other way, but if you have it silenced and you send somebody a text, they get a little something on that appears on their screen that says that you're not accepting notifications or something.
Okay. So that would be a warning.
Yes.
All right. Wow. There's something called the home button. That's the button that many of us don't have on the newer devices. They've eliminated it. I have it on my iPad. It's the button right here. Okay. And it has multiple functions. If you press and hold that button too long, you end up getting Siri, assuming you have Siri activated. So on my iPad, if I hold it, good morning, Siri.
It looks like you haven't set up any HomeKit accessories.
Okay. Have a good day, dear.
Have a nice day yourself.
Okay. If you just press it once, if you're in an application and press it once, it goes back to the home screen. So if I go to my reminders and then I press it once, it takes me back to the home screen. If I press it twice quickly, I get the apps that are running. If you have a device without the home button, you can achieve those different things by sweeping up. If I'm in an application like Notes and I sweep up from the bottom, it takes me back to the home screen. If I want to get Siri on my device without a home button, you press and hold the power button. Good morning, Siri.
Good morning.
Okay. So far, so good. You also have a volume up and volume down button. Okay. It's right below the church switch on that side of your device, on the left side of the iPhone and iPad, or the iPhone. And so if you tap the volume up, you'll see a little bar that will fill in. I just tapped it and moved it up. And now I'm tapping and lowering it by tapping it multiple times. Same thing on the iPad. Volume up, volume down. Okay. You also, okay, any questions on buttons? I think that's all the buttons as we go around the device. And you need to get comfortable with them. And the way I know if somebody's comfortable with a device with the home button, if they can double tap it quickly and get the apps that are running. So you might want to practice that until you're able to sense that. A lot of learning about the iPad is tactile, right? How hard you press the screen, sweeping across the screen, etc. Also on your device, you have a front camera. It's the little hole at the top of the iPads. On the iPhone, it's hard to see them, but it's at the top there. There's also at least 2 speakers, if not 3. There's 2 on the iPads. There's 3 on the iPhones. There's one when if you put it on your ear, there's a speaker, and there's some speakers at the bottom. And believe it or not, if you look at the top of the iPad, and I've got to show you this because people don't believe me. Okay, here's my iPad. Okay, there's the home button. Right here's the camera, but right, I'm gonna have to focus on it. There is one very small pinhole right where at the tip of my finger. That's the microphone. And if you cover that up, people won't be able to hear you. Okay? The microphone is at the bottom of the iPhone. Any questions about the external portions of the iPhone or iPad? Don't hesitate to ask.
I have a question about your pile of printers. Are you printing money with the? I want to.
If you want to, the bottom one there, somebody dumped off at the shop and wasn't working. So I said, it's one of those tank, what is it, Epson tank? And so I brought it home to see if I could get it to work, and it's not easy, Greg. I had to take it all apart and get all inky,
Oh, boy.
and still don't have it working.
You're a glutton for punishment, Bill.
But I wanted to try it out. That's the ink just goes in the tanks right here. And so you just squirt the ink in there and it feeds the device. So it's much, much cheaper. You don't have to get cartridges.
That sounds good.
Hey, Bill,
Mhm.
where is the microphone on the iPhone 13 Pro?
I think it's at the bottom. And where the speaker holes are,
Yeah.
I think one of those holes is the microphone down there.
Hmm.
And you can, is there a way to test that? You can call somebody and cover them up and see. Yep, down there. You got it, Sally. Yep. Some of those are the speaker, but I believe there's one down there for the microphone.
Bill,
Yes.
beneath the power button on the iPhone are two, looks like something else you can press, but it doesn't press. And it also might be a hole.
Yes. You know what goes in there?
What?
The telephone SIM card. You have to open up that compartment by putting a little pin into the hole and pressing it, and that slides out.
Oh, thank you.
So that when you get your phone, the service provider, if you have Verizon or T-Mobile or whoever you have, AT&T, they put a card in there.
What about Pure Talk that you would get online?
They have to send you a card.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Bill,
Yes.
on the back of my iPhone 12 Pro, there are the 3 cameras.
Mhm.
There are 2 other buttons, 2 smaller buttons. What are those for?
Well, being that I have the same phone, there's 3 cameras.
Yes.
There's 1 flash, and there's a LiDAR. That's the dark one.
And what is it for?
For taking night
Oh,
photos. And it comes on and it helps you create a depth of field for night photos.
okay, that's the dark button. And the light button is the flash?
Yep, and there's a little hole there too.
Yes, what is that for?
That's the light sensor.
Oh, okay.
Bill, you see on the screen, oh, now it disappeared. Those minus signs next to all the apps.
Those?
Yeah, I get them every so often, but I've never known what they are.
We'll get to that.
Thank you.
Hopefully today.
Okay.
All right. Susan, let me get, and if they show up, just tap the screen.
Yeah.
And they should go away.
Yes.
Bill, I think the LiDAR sensor is actually a proximity sensor.
Go ahead.
It's for 3D kind of things.
Okay, it could be. I thought it was mainly for night. for night shots, creating a 3D
It
effect.
may help at night, but it's for, I don't think we've seen the full use of LiDAR yet. When we get into artificial reality stuff, I think that's when LiDAR is really gonna kick in. Like when you go to shop and you see a picture of a chair and you want to see that chair placed in your room, that's LiDAR, I think, helps that.
Probably will, probably will. Okay. Inside your device, when you bought it, okay, there's a whole slew of antennas. There's some antennas for talking to, if you have a cell phone. Well, wait a minute. Which iPhone do you have? Or which iPad do you have? Does everybody know which one they have? I'm not getting much response here.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't know, you need to go to settings, and that's this little icon on the face of your device. On your home screen, you should search around till you find that. It's called settings. Okay. And then you'll see a list. See the list on the iPhone here? And I'm going to scroll down to where it says general. And I tap general on both devices. On the iPad, the left-hand panel, the right-hand panel comes up as the items under the general category. And what we're going to do is tap on about. Okay. And it tells you what version of the operating system you have. It tells you the name on your device. It also tells you the model of your device. So I have an iPad Air 3rd generation and an iPhone 12 Pro. Okay. So far, so good, everybody? Now, what I want to do is have you do something. See where mine says name? Yes? Okay, it says name right here. Or here. Now mine actually has my first name and then the type of phone it is. Or my first name and the type of iPad that it is. Okay. I'd like you to tap the arrow. If yours says iPad or iPhone, I'd like you to tap the arrow there. And now we're going to do a little exercise using the keyboard. Okay, so most of you should look similar to what mine does right now. So lesson number 12 for today is, you see the little X right here? Anytime you see that little X at the end of a bar and you tap it, it will delete what's on the bar. So that's one way to do it. I'm going to delete the name that's there, click. It's gone. Doesn't look like it is, but it is. And I want to retype it. So I'm going to type in mine, BILL. And just say Bill's iPad. On my iPhone, I tap the X. And I'm going to type in Bill's iPhone. So far, so good?
So good, but why would you do that?
Oh, that's so it knows what it is. No, we'll get to that later. Okay, when we get into this, we're going to do some things where that becomes a real advantage to have it. Okay. And now a little bit about navigation. I tapped in my iPad, I tapped here on general, then I tapped about, and then I went to name. If I tap the back arrow at the top, it's going to take and go in reverse. So if I tap about, it takes me back to the about menu. And then if I tap general, it takes me back to the general menu. And then if I tap about again, okay. So I'd like everybody to be on about. In other words, about is the words that should be in the center of the screen. The center of the right-hand panel on your iPad, the center on the iPhone. Now, if you're not with me, be sure to speak up, okay?
I'm with you, Bill, but I did not change the name because I wouldn't remember to put it back in right.
What is it now? What's it say it is?
What says Ann Ross iPad 2 and Ann's iPhone 11 Pro.
You already have it named, so you don't have to do anything. When you first get your device, it says iPad and iPro iPhone only.
Oh, okay.
All right. All right. Your device comes with a certain amount of memory. It can be 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, or 512 gigabytes. And on my capacity of my iPad here is 64 gigabytes. The capacity of my iPhone, you'll see, is 128. I'd like you to look at yours and what's capacity it has.
Can we change the capacity?
Good question. The answer is no. It's important when you buy your phone that you get what you think, what you feel will be enough. Now, don't let somebody talk you into 256 gigabytes. And unless you're taking a whole lot of pictures, you don't need 128. All right. And below it says available. Mine says on my iPad, it says 35.93 GBs. And on my iPhone, it says 47.43 GBs. All right. So, and then above that, it tells you what's using your capacity. It says songs, videos, photos, and applications. So you notice on my iPad there, it says songs 0, videos 71, photos 3,282. And applications on my iPad are 352. On my iPhone, it's 286. So I doubt if you have that many applications. Most of you won't have that many photos, but some of you will have more than that. The key here is how much do you have left after all that stuff is in there? And that's what the available is. If your available is less than 5, you probably should consider getting a new phone. Because you're not going to be able to do things in the future. Eventually, you won't be able to add an update to the operating system. Okay,
Can you delete some of your photos or whatever? Will that help?
okay. If you delete a photo, it's gone. Okay, so yes, that will help.
Thank you.
But remember, when you delete it, it's not saved anywhere unless you've taken extraordinary, made an extra effort. Let's put it that way. All right?
If you put it in the iCloud, you're okay though.
No,
Right.
that's my point. It is not okay.
Oh,
When you delete it from your phone, it deletes it from the iCloud as well.
But you could put it in Dropbox or something like that.
That's extraordinary effort.
Or Google, you can have Google, can't you?
Or Google, right.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Uh-huh.
Is he Bill?
Yes,
You said 128 gigabytes was more than ordinarily you would need, but I see you have that. Why, you have a lot of pictures or?
I got a lot of applications there.
So what would be the one to go down to? I have to get a new phone. Should I just go
What's
with?
what's on your phone now? And
Oh, it's 16. It's an ancient SE,
okay, and how much is used?
almost every last bit.
So you can't even update it anymore.
No.
Okay. How many photos you have on there?
1,665.
Okay. 64 gigabytes should be adequate unless you're planning on a lot more photography.
Well, I'm planning on that. So what would be my next?
The next step is 128. That's what's on my phone.
Is that what majority of people on this?
Well, we could ask.
Does anybody, go ahead. Is 128 too much? No.
yes.
Yeah, 128 in most cases would be more than adequate, more than.
64 is what I have, and that's
Yeah.
plenty.
And Sally, how many photos do you have?
996.
So you have about 1,000 as well. And what's your available?
40
Yeah.
GB,
She's
but the
only using-
capacity is 64, so I have plenty of room.
Oh, that's right. You know, the available is how much you have left. So you have 40 some left.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
It seems to me when I went to the Verizon store to replace my iPhone, they
Mhm.
didn't have anything available that wasn't at least 128, but that could have been a sales pitch.
That was a sales pitch.
Okay.
The SE has 64, I believe.
Well,
that's
My-
what I have. A brand new SE has 64.
My SE has 128.
you can get different versions.
Oh,
Bill or Greg, could you check to see? I think 64 is the least you can get now. But I thought you could get it on any one of them, and it may have been a sales pitch.
Bill, besides, in addition to the photos, don't the apps take up a certain amount of gigabytes? So
Absolutely.
that would be important as well.
Yes, but I have 300, so.
I saw that. Yeah,
So that's a major user of my space.
right.
Bill,
Go ahead, Ann.
yeah, months ago, you suggested to me to get the new SE. I've not yet done that. And I was just wondering if Sally is happy with her SE and if the camera is good.
Yes, everything is good. The only reason I got a new one is it was slow to, the battery was going,
Yeah,
but it was old. But the
Mine's
new,
old.
the new one, I studied some of the research, and the new one has a lot of the features of the more expensive iPhones, because they put a lot of that in the new SE. So unless you want to spend $800 or more, which I did not, I'm very happy with it.
And the camera is good?
Yes.
How many,
Excellent.
It's not as good as the full iPhone.
I
Sally-
understand, but
good.
I'm
Sally, how many
a
cameras?
casual user.
Sally, how many cameras does it have? 2 or 1? In the back?
I don't know.
I think it has two.
Hold it up to
One.
the screen.
One camera.
One,
I have the SE2.
the other side, Sally.
Well, I have it in a holder.
I can still see it.
Okay.
I just want to see where the cameras are on the back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's in a holder.
No, that's okay. Hold it up so I can see the camera holes. There you go. Yep, you have one in the flash. Yeah, that's fine.
It's all I need. I'm not a professional photographer. Okay. This is all I need for my purposes.
Mhm.
What they do on the more expensive items is they add cameras. They may work a little faster, and the screen may be bigger or brighter.
Mhm.
Okay.
Those are the major differences.
I want to spend that much money.
I thank you.
But one thing you need to understand on the newer phones, when you trade in, their value is more. I have a brand new 13 Pro Max,
Whoa.
and I traded in, I think I had an X, a 10, and I only paid $400 for this.
Yeah, they do, yeah.
They hold their value very much. And I have 256. The guy was a good
Whoa.
man, and I know that I use a lot. I have 12,000 photos, 266 applications, but I have 185 gigs available, which is good.
So Sharon's using half of it.
Oh, not even.
Well, you said you had 120 some used.
No, I have 185 available,
Okay.
which means I have used 70, about 70 out of
Uh,
250.
Greg or Bill, did you find out, can you get a 64 gig Pro?
It looked like everything was, there was at least 64 on everything.
That's what I thought.
Mhm.
You can get 64 gig on everything. In fact, that's probably the least they sell now. Okay,
Thank you.
and I just complicated your world a little bit, I think.
Appreciate it.
But have fun.
Thanks.
On your iPhones, there are cell phone internet, cell phone connectivity to the cell phone towers. There's Wi-Fi antennas for routers that you're within 100 feet of. There's something called Bluetooth antennas, and there's near field communication antennas. So there's at least four ways that you can communicate to the outside world with your device. The cell phone ones, the cell phone antennas or the cell phone towers, they're the long wave radio waves. And so they go miles. The Wi-Fi antennas are a little more shorter sine waves, and they go 100 feet. So you lose their capability. The near field communication ones are for, I'm sorry, the Bluetooth are for about 10 feet. And for those of you who have a cell phone, an automobile with the capability to connect to your cell phones, they're connecting via Bluetooth. Bluetooth is the way your cell phone connects to external speakers, where your device connects to external keyboards. And there's one other one that I use on my phone, and it's called near field communications. And this is for more advanced, so don't worry about if you don't know how to do it now. But what you can do is you can add your credit card to your phone. And then you can just pull out your phone and pay your bill with your cell phone at like Publix or Starbucks. Any place that has, most of the places that have the card readers can also accept just sweeping your cell phone over the device.
I've heard of that, Bill. I was concerned about security.
Right. You can't access your credit cards unless you put in your passcode, your fingerprint, or your face. So that's pretty good security.
Okay, I don't know that I have ever set that, what's the word, near field?
Yep.
I didn't really set up something like that, but I do, when I go to Publix, I can pay through the app. Is that something that's automatically set up through the individual
When you
applications?
say pay through what app?
The Publix app. It brings up, when I say pay, it brings up something and I put my PIN in, and then it has a scanner that scans something on the terminal and it automatically pays it.
Yeah, that's using the near field communications.
But I didn't set anything up that said near field. I set that up through the Publix. So you don't necessarily have to. How would I know that anything was using the near field?
You have to initiate it.
But it doesn't tell me in my list of settings or anything.
Correct.
Okay. So I've got it and I don't even know it.
I know, I don't
You're
know.
using it and you don't even know it.
Is that similar to the Apple Pay,
That's exactly like the Apple Pay.
the wallet and that? Okay.
Now we're getting a little advanced, so I'm not going to spend any more time there. The only point I was making is there's a lot of antennas in your cell phone. In your iPad, there's not as many in most iPads. If you get a new iPad, or if you have an iPad or got it or getting an iPad, they have a basic question for you, and that is, do you want this to have cellular capability? In other words, act like a cell phone so you can talk to the internet when you're not near a router or you're not on a Wi-Fi network. Okay. I don't recommend getting that. There's some alternatives to doing that, and we'll talk about that when we get a little more into this. The last thing we talked about memory, right? Anybody know what a gigabyte is?
Yes.
That's a lot.
That's what the kids say. They say it's a lot.
1,000 megabytes.
That's correct. What's a megabyte? Let's start out. What's a byte? In the computer world, a byte is a unit of storage. And one byte can hold one character, like an A, an N, a T, a 1, a space. All of those are represented in the computer in one byte.
I see, okay.
You with me? And I usually say this, so bear with me if you've heard this before. How many characters are there in a book?
A lot.
Is it a gigabyte? Is it the same lot? I sat down last night and counted them. I pulled out a book, a little paperback, about 300 pages or so, and I started counting them. I opened it to the middle and I counted every space in one line, every character in one line. It's a period that counts. It's a space that counts. So I counted one line across, right? All the characters there. And then I counted the number of lines and multiplied that. and then multiplied it by the number of pages. Believe it or not, it came up to about 1 million characters. So in your computer, in your iPhone, in your iPad, you can store one book in 1 million bytes.
Is that a gigabyte or
Now, that's 1
megabyte?
million bytes. Now, Jim just told us there's 1,000 million in 1 gigabyte.
Thank you.
That's 1,000 books in 1 gigabyte. So Anne's going to go out and get herself a 64 gigabyte iPhone that will hold 64,000 books, if that's all there was there. Give you an idea? Now, a picture takes this, one picture takes the same space as, give me a little latitude, guys, as 1 book. So 1 picture takes the same amount of space as a book. But you can still put 64,000 pictures there. Okay? Understood that, but then you have the operating system and all the applications that take up space as well. And they usually take a lot of it. Okay?
Yeah, they do.
To give you an idea. So the next time
Picture is worth,
1,000
worth
books.
more than 1,000 books.
No, 1 picture is worth 1 book.
Yeah, but what was the old saying? A picture's worth 1,000 words or
1,000 words.
Yeah.
Actually, it's 1 million words.
million words, yes.
All right. So now Anne has had her lesson in how much stuff she needs. When you get your device, you can get the frame to be different colors, the back to be different colors and things like that. Okay. All right, everybody turn on your devices.
Bill, getting back to space and size and everything, when you download ebooks, how do you have any idea how that compares?
That's about 1 million bytes.
But it's not, an ebook isn't as much as if you actually
No,
had a
it's,
printed book on your,
no, it's the same thing.
oh,
Each character takes a byte.
okay, I didn't realize ebooks had the same character content.
Yeah, ebook is what I'm talking about.
Oh,
Because every letter in that book has to be represented in the computer. And it's represented by 1 byte. So if you take your ebook and you count the number of characters.
when I don't have anything else to do.
Tomorrow morning or something.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
But it doesn't matter the size of the character. Okay, the size is another feature that happens.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, anybody know what these pages are called? This whole thing here? It's called the home page.
Homepage,
And at the bottom here, you have some dots. Right, both on the iPhone and the iPad. And if you sweep from right to left, you'll see you have multiple pages. That's all the further I wanted you to go today. So now I've gone through my 3 dots, and you'll notice the dot down at the bottom changes. There's the middle dot lights up, and my first home page. Okay. Now,
yeah, a couple pair of shoes.
at the bottom, this particular area down here is called the dock. You can put 4 items on the iPhone dock. You can put 13 on the iPad dock. And I have it fully populated with 13. Okay, now somebody was asking me, they touched their screen, let's say a blank area, and they touched, but they didn't just touch, they pushed and held one place on the screen. Now you can't squish it. In other words, push and move it. You have to push and hold, and all of a sudden, everything starts shaking. Okay? You with me so far? Everybody have it shaking? Now, the apps are all nervous now because they're afraid you're going to do something with them. And what I could do is I could see the minus sign here. I could click on the minus sign and I could delete the app.
Yeah, I've done that.
And we'll talk about this a little later. You can also remove it from your home screen. It goes into something called the app library, and we'll talk about that later. So if I click delete app, which one did I click on? Ooh, Google Photos. If I click delete app, it gives me a second shot and says, you really want to delete this? And I can say, no, I don't. Okay. With me so far, everybody? Ooh, what happened there? You with me?
Yes.
You'll also notice that if I wanted to put something different down here on the dock, I can click on it while they're shaking and move it. And then I can put one back on there. So try that. Everybody move one to your dock if it's not fully populated. If it is, move one off and move another one on. Now, the reason you want to put something on the dock is that no matter what home screen you're on, the dock is constant. So it remains the same no matter which screen I move to. All right. Now, remember how many apps I had? I had over 300. Yet I have all my apps on 1, 2, 3 screens. That's it. How do I get 300 apps on 3 screens if each screen can only hold how many?
Oh, yeah.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Each screen can hold on my iPad 24. I do that by combining them. And so you'll notice here I have, let me get rid of that.
Call from telephone put.
Go back. If I go to my books, you'll notice that I tapped on the books there on my iPhone, my iPad, and I have several apps having to do with books. So what I did was I had all these apps everywhere, and I said, I'm going to put things that are common or homogeneous together. So I put books together. I put educational stuff together. No, I'm having a meeting, Marge. We'll call you back. And so the way in which you get them to combine is I click and I can drag one on top of the other. So what I'm going to do is combine reminders and notes. watch carefully. I'm gradually going to move notes over to reminders. Whoops, I went by it. Reminders, and I'm going to hold it there and then release. And now I've got 2 apps in something called the productivity folder. So Apple not only made a folder for me, it put a name on it. And if I click the X, I get rid of that name and I'm going to change it. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to change it to call it stuff. Better spell it right.
Still didn't get it.
Okay, so now it's a folder called stuff. Now, it took a long time for me to combine all those, but here's the basic technique. It's all the same. And if I got one in there I didn't want in stuff, I get them shaking. And then I could just put my finger on it. Whoops, got to get them shaking again. And I move it out of stuff. And if I move the last one, now watch when I move it out, I move it down to the right corner. And then I can release it and the folder disappears after you remove the last item. Okay. I'll bet Sharon has done that a lot. Right, Sharon? If she's there. Okay. Any questions?
I have a lot of folders, but not quite as many as you.
For example, I have one on, I guess it's the games one. There's some of the games I've got, but I've got 3 screens of games. 1, 2, 3. Whoops, only have 2. Okay.
Somehow my iPhone seemed to have done that at some point automatically. And
We'll get to that.
oh, okay,
I want to talk about Margaret. I want to talk about that.
okay.
She's saying something magic happened on my device. All right, and let me show you what that is. Okay, everybody get them to stop shaking. If everybody remembers, when I went back into notes and I get them shaking, come on. And I hit the minus sign, it says delete app or remove from home screen. They added a new feature, and that is you can have apps on your device, but they're not on any of your home screens. They're stored in something called, new words, app library. So I'm going to cancel that. And I don't have them shaking any longer. And the way in which you get to and view the app library is what Margaret discovered. If you shift from right to left, and now I'm on the last dot, or the last of my home pages, if I go one more, up pops the app library. I'll do the same thing on my phone. Last home screen, and there's the app library. So if I decided not to put an app on my home screen, I just said remove from home screen, it shows up, all the apps show up in the app library. Now, somebody said to me, well, how do you find it in the app library? I mean, look at all this stuff. right? In each one of these folders, for example, it says the business one there, this one. If I open that one, it has all these apps in it. So what Apple has done is they created a bunch of folders and named them what they would like them to, what they think you might like to have them called. Okay?
Question, Bill.
Yes, please.
If one wants to remove apps in order to free up some storage, are there some apps that Apple insists that have to absolutely be on the
Very
iPhone?
good question that I didn't cover. The answer to your question is yes, and I'm looking for one.
Like iTunes?
iTunes, it won't let you get rid of?
No, I haven't tried yet.
Looks like I can get rid of all those. Let me see about my phone. I'll bet I can't get rid of the phone. Yeah, I can. Looks like, whoa, I can, if I click on my, here's my iPhone, and if I click on this one, I would hope it's not going to allow me to delete it. Yeah, I can only remove it from my home screen. That one I cannot delete. Okay, so some of them you will be able to delete. For example, the App Store. On my iPad there, if I tap the minus sign on the App Store, you can only remove it from your home screen. You cannot remove it from the iPad.
Thank you.
Thanks for asking. So you have this big list of stuff that's in the app library. Well, that didn't help me much. If I'm looking for a particular app and I'm in the app library, it's going to take me all day to find it. Well, they made it pretty easy. If you tap the word app library there at the top, it gives you an alphabetized listing of all the apps. And if you type, if you think you know part of the name, like I'm looking for Flixster, F-L-I. Right? I'm looking for Flixster. I just type that in, and there's Flixster and Flight, anything that started with F-L-I. Okay. Yes, everybody?
Yes.
So the question that's going to appear on the final is, can you remove the iPhone app from your iPhone? And that's, you cannot. All right. The other thing we need to cover on apps is, notice on the iPhone, it has a 12 above mail in red. Many apps will show up with a, see if I have any in here. Yeah, there's one. With a red number on the right corner, right upper corner of the app. I've got one on the iPad.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
Okay, and I'll bet if I do this and then go back. No. you'll notice that on my iPhone there, it says 12. And that's 12. In the case of mail, that little number means the number that I have not read yet or not opened.
Hey, Bill,
Mm-hmm.
why do you have the cursor on your iPad when you're talking about something on the iPhone?
Oh, I'll switch my cursor over there. There. You mean here?
Yeah, it makes more sense now.
Okay. All right. And so the 12 in this case, see if there's any others that have, oh, there's one right there. One in that folder, and it's photos. Google Photos is trying to tell me, actually, they're trying to sell me something, but okay. There's one down here in weather, and it's the Weather Channel. What's it trying to tell me? Ah, tropical weather statement.
Yeah.
Okay. So your assignment should be, in order to get yourself used to using the applications and moving around the screen, is to combine some apps into a folder. All right, and put the maximum amount of apps on the dock to make them easy to get to. Okay. Now, the main reason I like everybody to do this as students is so that you get used to touching the screen and how hard you have to touch the screen or how lightly you have to touch the screen, and then dragging across the screen. Okay, and you get used to doing that. Any questions about apps in terms of organizing them? I kind of like them because, watch, I'm going to take reminders here and I'm going to move it to the top of the list. So I'll shift it up to here and you're supposed to move over. Let me in there. Okay. So you try those kind of things just to see how it's going to work. You're going to let me get in there? No. All right.
Why can't you put it there?
Those are widgets.
Oh,
I can move the widgets, but I can't make the widgets move out of the way with.
oh.
By the way, Jim, I
No.
just discovered that too. So yes, go ahead.
I have an app that I've never seen before called Waiting.
What's
I
it
had
called?
two. I had two of them, and I'm looking for them now. Right. I had one called Waiting, and two of them called Waiting. I hit on one, and it became Acrobat after a little bit of time. I'm almost afraid to click on the other one because I don't know why is there one that says Waiting?
Oh, it's probably downloading it. And
I have not downloaded anything on my iPad recently, so I'm wondering why.
did you download it on your iPhone, perhaps? Because sometimes they duplicate.
Hey, Bill, when I get waiting, it's because I went into the apps and they updated it, and then it says waiting until it's finished updating.
Ah, thank you. Did you hear that, Ann?
I did. I just clicked on the Waiting, the other one to see, and it says installing.
Correct.
So
And it may be installing an update.
Prime Video.
Thank you, Cheryl. Very good. By the way, you've all registered for the class. What I'm going to be doing is sending out a series of handouts to you. And there'll be one that looks like, come on, that looks like that. Can you see that on your screen?
Yes,
Symbols that appear on your iPhone, iPad.
yes.
So you get one that looks like that, followed by this. The top ones are the symbols that appear at various places throughout your using of your device and what they mean. And the one down here is icons that appear at the top of your screen and what they mean. So that's one handout. Another really, really good one is this one. And it's an iPad user's guide. Now it's for iOS 14, but it contains the stuff if you have iOS 14 loaded. So it won't have some of the newer features.
Can I ask a question at this point?
Absolutely.
Why does anybody own an iPad if they already have an iPhone?
I like a bigger screen.
That's the only reason?
No, and I can do a lot. I like the things I can do. I can split the screen. I can, I work with it. It works much easier if you're putting in text and things like that. It's just nicer to see it in a bigger format.
But I'm a Windows user, so buying an iPad would be overkill, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, that's what I am too.
Well,
I have a lot of
Yeah.
friends, use the iPad instead of a computer anymore.
Correct.
hey, Bill,
I travel with my iPad. I don't need a laptop computer.
Okay, who is that? You, Jim?
yes, I just want to give them a comment. My vision is getting worse as I get older, and I am able to read the Wall Street Journal and the Sarasota Herald Tribune on my iPad with ease because I can make the print larger. So that's a good use for the iPad.
Yeah, but I can also do that on my Windows computer. So there's no
Yeah,
sense
you
owning
can't hold-
both,
you can't-
right?
You can't hold the Windows computer in your hand though and move it around, so.
Can't sit in the lounge chair and read it?
Question about using the iPad instead of a laptop. What happens if one wants to print something?
Let me answer that question. Let me finish this for a minute. Oops. So I'm going to send you two manuals. And these are going to be links to my my Google storage. Those are the primary three I'll be sending you. Somebody asked me a question. Second,
Printing.
go ahead. What was it, Bill?
Oh, printing.
Printing.
Dean, thank you.
Are we able to store these on the iPad, Bill?
Yes,
These things that you are sending? And you mentioned Google Storage. How do we, I imagine you sending them by email.
no,
And
I'm going to send you a link by email that will allow you to click on them and view them
Just click on it, and yeah.
whenever you want.
and then, but how do you go from the link? Where do you then send it to store it on the iPad?
I guess I have to try that before I tell you.
Thank you.
Keep the link for a while.
Okay.
Okay. And these will be PDF files that you can import, that you should be able to view on your iPad.
Hey, Bill,
Yes.
what is that circle? Looks like a globe on your iPad face. What is that?
Blood moon.
The circle is, it's called adaptive touch. And I have to have that on so that I have my mouse, so that my mouse will work.
Oh,
Oh,
For those of you who,
oh,
and this is advanced, so don't worry about it if you don't understand what I'm saying, some of you. If I touch it, it acts like a home button. So I first put it on there because I wasn't used to using the iPhones and iPads without a home button. So I could touch it and it would open up the home screen. It also does a bunch of other things as well. Okay. So that's why I have it, Jim.
okay.
But I have it because I want the mouse primarily.
Where is the circle on your iPhone?
Huh?
Where is the globe on your iPhone? I don't see it on the iPhone.
Right
It's on the
there.
iPad.
Oh, on the iPad. Let me switch over.
I see it on the iPad, but not on the iPhone. On
Okay.
yours.
Right, here's the iPhone. That's the one.
Yes. Where's the globe then?
That is the globe.
you're,
Here it is on my iPad. Is that what you're talking about, this thing? Oh,
No, I'm talking about this thing right. No.
the big moon.
Under ring.
Yeah.
What is that thing? That's what I'm talking about.
It's the moon.
That's my backdrop. That's my wallpaper.
That's what?
That's my wallpaper.
Oh. God.
It is the blood moon, isn't it, Bill?
No, it's the moon, I think.
Yeah, but the blood moon, which occurred, what, a week ago?
That's correct. I'm sorry. Printing, printing. Let's go to printing here. If you click on I'm just going to click on something and get something I want to print. Here's a good password. It's great golf. Anyway, I want to print that out. I'm going to, in many cases, you have to go to something called the share box, which is a box with an arrow coming out the top. I can click these three dots here. And then I scroll down to where it says print. And if you have an Apple printer on the same Wi-Fi network as your phone or your iPad, you click print, select printer, and I click there, and now I can print on that. I'm going to cover that again later, but for somebody who asked that, I want to make sure you knew how to do it going into the week. There's a wonderful feature called text size that many of you may want to discover. There are many ways you can change it. I will show you one. If I tap settings, so if you if you're taking notes, you say, to change text size, first indented, go to settings. And then display and brightness under settings. And at the bottom of the settings menu, it says text size. And you tap it. And you have a little button there, and you can slide that button to make things bigger or smaller. On my iPad, I can slide the button to make things bigger or smaller. Okay,
Can you do that on a laptop?
not that way, but yeah, there's a way to do it on a laptop.
Yeah, it's the same way, basically.
Well, I'm talking about a PC. If you go to bold text, I have my text. I hit the back arrow here at the top. I'm on text size. Right? And I hit the back arrow to go back. And I turn on bold. I'm going to turn it off here so you can see it, what the difference is. And if I turn it back on again, character becomes a lot more intense.
Right.
And I just like that intensity. Okay. One last thing I need to cover today is the keyboard. Some of the features of the keyboard. Okay. And
That's always fun.
so in order to do that, we have to open an application, some application. And the application this time that we're going to open is called Notes. The purpose of the Notes application, and I hope we all have that one, is my memory. It's my, it's an enhancement for my memory. If you just tap the Notes application on both the iPhone and iPad, it comes up with on the iPhone, it comes up with a list of the notes you have. If you don't have any, this is going to be a new experience for you. Okay. And if I tap on my iPad, see this little indicator? It's supposed to be a pen and pencil.
Right.
Paper, I mean. So it's supposed to be a pen on a paper. Right? And I'm going to go ahead and tap that on my iPad. And I'm going to tap it on my iPhone. And it comes up with a come on. It comes up with a blank screen with a cursor on it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Ooh, stop it.
No, I can't find it on the phone, only on the iPad.
This is an opportunity, Ann. You just asked an opportunity question. Ann can't find notes. Why don't you go to the app library?
Well, I have notes.
You have it on your iPad, you said.
I do, and I have it on my phone too, and it had a whole bunch of writing.
That's okay. Tap the new note in the upper right-hand corner, the pen and paper, And it should open. On my iPad, you'll see what it looks like. Unless you have your iPad this way. Ooh. It's supposed to turn off. It would look like that on the iPad if you have the iPad in portrait mode versus landscape. Oh, came up that way in that mode too. Okay.
I still don't have it on the phone though. I get the 3 dots, but I don't get the paper, the paper pen. And
You
the
know, it
camera
doesn't-
and all that.
It's just beyond the paper pen. Yeah.
You're already there, Anne. You don't need it.
The
You're all-
dots are just grabbing it.
If you've gone there and you tap the screen, the keyboard should show up, Ann.
That's what I mean. It's not showing up, and it does say that 2 notes were found. And one is class notes from
What's it say?
21.
What's it say at the top left?
It says scanned,
Huh?
scanned
Top left?
Where are you?
in notes.
I don't think so. Does it say
Julie, I am in notes.
Where, huh?
top left does not say back? There's not a back arrow at the top?
No, there's the time of day and a funny arrow. And
Below
at the
that,
top, it says scanned and with a
is there a back
magnifying
arrow?
glass.
Is there a back arrow there?
Actually, no, I can click. Okay, I'm.
Maybe you don't have iCloud turned on to that iPad for notes.
Yeah. You may have touched the camera down here and tap scan document. But it should say cancel at the top now.
I did cancel. I'm now in something folders, iCloud.
Okay,
Is that-
tap the pen and paper at the bottom right.
Oh, bottom right, I'm looking at the top, the top right. Okay,
That's where it is on the iPad. Okay,
thank you.
everybody has the notes up somehow,
Right.
and it's a standard keyboard. So you can type quick, Quick, Brown, Brown. Oops.
Mm. Crooked folks.
All right, I just typed the quick brown fox jumps. Okay, didn't I spell that right? Quick looks correct, doesn't it?
Now we
Q.
get a G instead of a Q.
Oh.
And then spell check broke the fox.
Broken the fox. Let's go.
Right, that's not you. That was spell check.
Broke the fox, huh? It broken it.
Yes.
There we go. Okay. Quick brown. Oh,
Brown, not broke.
not broke. Okay. Now I'm at the end of the sentence. The first thing I'd like to show you is if I tap the keyboard twice quickly, I'll get a period there. Tap, tap, and I get a period. The second thing on your iPads, you see it's a QWERTY keyboard, but you'll notice that the numbers on the iPad. Now, if you have an iPad Pro, you have a numbered keyboard or a keys for the numbers up above. If you don't, you have something that looks like mine. And you notice, like, for example, on the letter T on mine, there's a 5 up here. on the letter 4, right? I can go ahead and get the 4 to appear by putting my finger on the R and pulling down. And release, and I get a 4 instead of an R. I get a 7 instead of a U. I get a $sign instead of a D by putting my finger on it and pulling down. Now, everybody should try that for those of you who have an iPad. The same feature is not available on the iPhone. Okay, and I'm going to tap that face. Notice that there's also an arrow on both the iPhone and the iPad. And the arrow has 3 different characteristics that show up. One is, it looks like mine does right now. It's an arrow pointing up, but it's not filled in. If you tap it, it shows an arrow filled in, and also the letters turn to capital letters. Now, if I type one letter, like the letter A, you'll notice that it shifts back down. If you wanted to have caps lock, you would tap that up pointing arrow twice quickly, 1, 2, and it ends up with the same filled in arrow, but it has a line under it indicating that the caps feature is locked. So no matter how many letters I tap or type, okay, it will continue to type capital letters. You can still use the feature, the pull down feature.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank you. Yes. I've been waiting for this class.
Now, if you happen to be a foreign language person, you know that the E appears in different characteristics, let's say. So if I press and hold the E, don't draw it down, I just press and hold it, and you'll see that it comes up with the E in different hyphens and, umlauts over the top, etc. While I'm still holding my finger on the screen, I can slide up and pick one of those. So let me do it on the O. Still holding the key down, I slide my finger on the screen and I pick a different characteristics. Now that doesn't happen on all keys.
No, it doesn't.
Happens on all the vowels. There, upside down exclamation point. What happens on the question mark? Oh, I can do an upside down question mark.
How do you do that?
Okay, get the idea there, everyone? Now, while I can turn off caps lock by just tapping it once. And that feature now will put lowercase e in with different characteristics. If I tap the 1, 2, 3, I get a different keyboard. And I can click and pull down on the $sign and get the yen. I guess that's. If I press and hold the $sign, I get a bunch of different currencies there that I could use. So go ahead and everybody catch up with me and try that. And experiment with it. What's the and sign do? Oh, that's an interesting one. Now I'm on the number keyboard. I get a different symbol on the left here where the caps feature is. And if I tap that, I get yet another keyboard. And of course, I can get back to the ABC keyboard by pressing ABC. The other feature that people may not be aware of is this predictive here. This is a line that tries to predict what you're going to type next.
Oh, I don't like that.
Okay, so I'm going to type the, T-H-E, right? And hit the space bar. And now it comes up and says, do you want to make it the quick, the first, or the only? I'm going to see how far I can get with this. I'm going to click on quick, brown, notes are in my account. All right, so I use predictive to type a stupid sentence. Okay. But oftentimes as you're typing, if I just tap the T, it comes up with some suggestions.
I got a good one.
A lot of people use those suggestions and say, oh, I wanted to type this. And then I type N and I wanted to type note. So I'm just going to type note. Oh, is W what? So they use a combination of the keyboard and the predictive to actually type their note. And in some cases, it does make it quicker. Especially if you are not as practiced on the keyboard as other people. Okay.
It also can make it very complicated when you've got, you know exactly what you want to say and they keep bringing it up.
Well, don't pay any attention to it then.
But what is it on my phone that it comes, on something I use, it inserts it.
It what?
Not on my iPad, but on one of my gadgets, it inserts the word wrong, you know.
I
So
understand.
you're always having to look so closely that,
No, I don't think it's in the Notes app. It does that.
no, it's on the Notes app, no.
Okay. Couple of other things there. You see the globe on your keyboard? If I tap the globe, it shows, and if I press and hold the globe, it shows the different keyboards you have. Most of us have English and emojis. I also have a Korean keyboard there. If I click on emoji, it comes up and shows me the various symbols I can use. And I can sweep across and get a lot of them. And now for the major lesson of if you did this, and I'm looking at emojis, at the bottom, see the bottom here? Is a table of contents. And instead of streaming across to finally get to the flags clear at the end, I can just click on the flags and it takes me directly to the flags that are on your iPad. If I click on the soccer ball, it will give me the soccer or the sports emoji, special icons. Travel takes me to the travel icons. Happy face takes me to the happy faces. And one of the things they've added to the faces, guess what? If I click on this face and I just press and hold it, it says I can change the skin complexion.
Oh, yeah.
Particular emoji. Okay. Okay, everyone.
Is that true on the iPhone as well? Because my iPhone icons are so small, even I can't tell what they are.
Well, I didn't say anything about the size of the icons, but yes, it's true. Let's see if I can go up here, the hand signals. I can press and hold and select a different skin complexion. And what I think Ann's referring to, if I go down here and select a police officer, right, and I go there, it's getting pretty small. The coup de grace here is the microphone. And I'll say this once and I'll probably end up saying it a bunch of times. Anywhere the keyboard shows up in your email, when you're texting, if you're writing a note, anywhere the keyboard shows up, that microphone will be there. Hello, comma. How are you today? Period. Question mark. New line. Okay, do you notice that as I was speaking, it wrote when I'm speaking? So you don't even need to type is the point here.
Faith,
All right.
I am doing great.
So am I. It got my voice too.
Crazy.
Long manhunt in Texas for a convicted killer ended in a shootout overnight. Escaped inmate Gonzalo Lopez shot at police following a car chase about 30 miles south of San.
All right. Anybody any questions about the keyboard?
I have a general question, Bill, after that.
Go ahead. I'm done with the keyboard.
Okay. Apple wants to update my iPad and iPhone. So last night, at least one of them was hooked up, but it didn't update. How do you make sure that it's going to be updated?
Okay. Let's answer that question for everybody. If you have a red number on settings and you follow that red number to general and then click on software update. So if everybody could go that far. Okay, click on settings, general, and software update. And I have an update schedule for my device.
Mhm.
And I have automatic updates turned on. So everybody should at least have that. Automatic updates. You click the little arrow on the right and you just turn it on. Download and install. So you want to do both.
Yep. Mhm.
Now, it should update at night if you plug it in and you just shut off the screen. You don't power it down. Okay, you shut off the screen. There are, I don't know, 100 million or 300 million devices that Apple has to update. They're not going to do them all in one night or 5 nights. So it will eventually update. It may not update, Margaret, tonight.
Okay.
However, if you want to force it, you can click down here. Now, don't do it now, folks. You can click down here where it says download and install. Okay? And you can force the update.
Okay.
Well, they didn't do mine last night when I had it plugged in, but then this morning I said, oh, you need to do this update. So I said, okay, so it updated.
Okay, so you did it this morning.
Yeah, I mean, it
Clicked on it.
wasn't plugged in or anything, and okay.
You forced it. Okay, that's okay. That works. Okay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
It was short,
It was a short update.
very short. Yeah, I thought, oh no, I didn't mean to do it, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Let me do a couple things here. So this guy was getting a haircut. He had been going to this barber for years. And of course, it's coming on summer here. So he said, where are you going on vacation? He says, sure. He says, where are you going? He says, I'm going to Italy. Our barber says, well, how are you getting there? And he says, well, I'm taking American Airlines. He says, oh man, you're not taking American Airlines. This is a really lousy airlines. The flight attendants are rude. The food is awful. The seats are about 2 inches wide. I mean, they're just pack them in there like cattle. Really, really bad. Barber says, well, then he says, well, where are you going to stay? He says, well, we're staying at the Ritz. He laughs. He says, the Ritz, they're doing a remodel. They'll probably have you in the cow bin. You know, and when they were not remodeling yet, the rooms were flea bitten, dusty. Staff was rude. Just, you don't want to do that. He said, well, what are you going to see when you get to Italy? He says, we're going to see the Pope. And with that, the bartender really laughed. And I'm sorry, the hair cutter really laughed. He said, you'll never see the Pope. The Pope's about 2 inches high when you see him. There's 2 million people a day that try to see the Pope. So he finished the haircut, went home. 2 months later, he comes back. He says, well, how was your trip? The barber said. The guy says, well, it was wonderful. We got American Airlines and our seat was taken. They said they had canceled our seat, but they gave us a first class seat. And we had all the booze and all the food, and it was just spectacular. Two flight attendants tripped over themselves trying to help us. Well, where'd you stay? We stayed at the Ritz, and you were right, they were remodeling, but they upgraded our room to the presidential suite. Right, we opened up the window, the blinds, and there was the Vatican right there. I mean, it was like we were right on top of it. It was just fantastic. And the barber said, well, what about the Pope? He says, you're right. We got in line to see the Pope, and there was 1 million people there. But then these two guys came out of a side door. They were dressed kind of funny. And they said, follow us. And so we started following. They said they were the Swiss Guard. And they said, the Pope likes to greet 2 visitors every day. And so you're it for today. And he takes them around through the halls of the Vatican, gets to this small room, they open it up, and there's the Pope. And of course, they knelt to the Pope, and the Pope, they held out, they grabbed the Pope's ring and they kissed the ring, and the Pope looks down at him. Well, what'd the Pope say? What'd the Pope say? Said the barber. He says, where'd you get that lousy haircut? All right, folks. That was a long one, but okay.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah,
Thanks,
So good
Bill.
that you're back.
I'll be recording this, and for those of you who just started using your iPad, you'll get with the note I'll send to everybody, you'll be able to view the whole thing again and review some of the things we just talked about.
Thanks
All right.
so much.
Have a good
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
And
Enjoy the movie.
have a good week.
Bye.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care, Bill.
Oh, God.